Right. Okay, welcome everybody to UX Design Office Hours. My name, as many of you know, is Dave. I'm your student advisor for both the UX Design and the UX Career Track courses. Want to give a quick, huge thanks to all the students who are joining here live. Thank you so much for being part of this, and also a big thanks to all of you who I know joined later on. Can't be here live, watching this on recording. I hear from you all every week, and that's awesome that you are part of this as well, even though you can't be here at this exact moment. We got an awesome session coming up. So we got Greg and Carrie, as always, the two best host mentors out there who are here. And our super special guest is Morgan Nimmons, who is a alumnus of our UX design course. She's been nice enough in the midst of, for those of you who are here for the first minute before we started recording, super busy schedule, doing some really cool projects at her job, taking the time out to come back and present her Capstone project, which is where many of you are starting on that journey or going to be there very soon. So very excited for this. Morgan, thank you again so much for being here. And whenever you are ready, feel free to click the green share button. That'll give a screen share. We'll all be able to see that. And then you can dive right into your Capstone presentation. When you wrap up, we'll sort of open up the floor to feedback and thoughts from both our host mentors as well as all the awesome students who are here as well. So that being said, Morgan, the floor is yours.
Cool. Thank you, Dave. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. And everyone see my screen okay?
Perfect.
Let me shrink this. Okay, so the name of my app is called TravelHer, and what gave me the idea for this project was that at the time there was a lot of cases going on where young women around my age and between college and early adulthood were ending up missing. Unfortunately, some of them ended up being killed, and a lot of the times they were not in constant communication with their family members, and they weren't able to let them know where they are because either they didn't have the means to text or call someone. So those situations are really sad for those families because they're left with the unknown. So I decided to come up with an app that I know Google has certain features on it, like Google Maps, to pinpoint where a person's going, but I wanted to create an app that's sole focus is safety for women when they're traveling, whether alone or with other people and they're away from their families. So I'm not going to go over the overview. I just gave you guys an idea as to what the idea was. So some of the solutions that this app would solve is that it allows friends and families to know where their loved ones are if they're traveling alone or to a new place. Users can either alert their emergency contacts or emergency dispatch or nearby users of the app that they are in trouble, and they can notify their contacts if they're making a temporary stop while on their way to their destination. So to start, I did the user research process, which included a screener survey, user interviews, and an analysis of my findings. I ended up surveying 20 participants, women that I knew that I went to college with and I was friends with, and had them partake in this survey that I did in Google Forms. And basically, it was just asking them questions about how they feel about their safety when they're traveling and things like that, and to see if they would fit my ideal persona for this application. And then I did a little chart of my actual findings as far as, what the average age group was, which was between 25 and 34 years old, how comfortable they feel, whether they like to travel alone or with other people, more so with other people rather than alone, whether they have concerns about their individual safety, and majority of them were concerned either while traveling alone or traveling to a brand new place alone. As well as whether they tell other people their whereabouts, they do, and then how they feel about using GPS or tracking services to let people know where they are. So after I narrowed it down to about 3 people to interview. I ended up interviewing them and asking them 13 questions, more detailed questions about their history of traveling and how they feel about having some type of safety app to alert family members of their whereabouts. So some of the results were 2 out of 3 traveled alone to only meet up with someone once they reached their destination. All of them were uncomfortable with traveling alone at night. Things like that. There were a lot of patterns with a lot of these women that they didn't feel comfortable traveling alone, or they did prefer to let people know where they were. I also did a competitive analysis where I compared my app idea with 3 other apps that are out there that have a similar features for safety. Those are Shake 2 Safety, Be Safe, and Circle of 6. I have links to them, so if you guys want more details on those, you can view them. Then after that, I created user personas and empathy maps based on the people that I interviewed. I have a main empathy map or main persona that I use, which was Traveling Tara, and I basically broke up certain traits about her, what she thinks and feels, what she says and does, her goals, frustrations, and what she sees. And then I also had, this is the empathy map, and then this is the actual user persona where I created a little bio about her to give her more of a, personality as if she's an actual person. Some of her demographics: 27 years old, web designer, lives in New York. She likes traveling with friends to her favorite places, but she's wary of visiting new places by herself. And then I created a second empathy map and a persona. And with this assignment, you were supposed to pick 3, but 2 out of the 3 people I interviewed fit under one persona, which was Traveling Tara, and 1 fit under this Cautious Candace. So I only did 2. Same thing, broke up the empathy map based on her feelings, what she sees when she travels, and things like that. And her persona is that she likes to travel. She likes to attend a lot of social events, but she's nervous traveling long distances on her own. And then after that, I did an MVP and user stories. And basically, I broke up the main features that I wanted to include in this app for the first rollout of it. And I made user stories based on those various features and what the actual requirements are. And the main features I want to focus on for this project was to have a user account, have location sharing, and safety and travelers tips. And then after that, I did a card sort, which was a lot of fun to do. I ended up I wasn't able to meet anybody in person and do a real one with physical cards, but I did a virtual one. And I actually ended up using this at my current job. So it's really effective. So I had 3 people go through a card sort in order to determine what features they thought would align with the basic menu options that I had. So that was a lot of fun. And then based on my feedback from that, I created a site map as to what would be the actual navigation of the application. We would have a basic home, and then the different avenues they could go is plan their trip, which would have a bunch of features as to whether they can go to recent trips or save destinations. My account, which they can edit their profile, edit emergency contacts. Safety and travel tips, which is a feature that a few of the users said they really would like to have as far as when they go to another country or go to different places, they'd like to have, quick safety tips as to what they should do in certain situations when traveling. They have the option to share their location even before they start navigating within the app, an SOS button to alert others nearby, or their emergency contacts or emergency dispatch if they're in trouble, a tutorial walkthrough as to how to use the app, and an about page about the actual app. So then after that, I did user flows based on each persona, and I think I can blow it up here. And basically it shows a happy path as to where they'll navigate on the app. I did 3 of them because I felt like with the second persona, there could have been 2 different paths for them. So they could either go straight to the safety and travel tips, or with this other one, they would go to the SOS button and ask for help immediately. So then here's my design process. Basically, after I did all the research and gathered enough data to have a persona, I was ready to start building out the actual application. So I started sketching out wireframes. I did low fidelity wireframes in the application called Sketch. I created a prototype of a low fidelity wireframe in InVision. I developed a style guide. I conducted usability testing based on the prototype, and then I incorporated the style guide to design high fidelity mockups. So here are my initial sketches. And here's the second page. And surprisingly, my high fidelity designs really didn't veer off too much from the actual sketches. And these are just all of my low fidelity wireframes that I created in Sketch. And then I created a prototype. Dave, would you want me to go through the actual prototype, or?
I'd say you've got maybe another 3 to 5 minutes, so depending on how much time you have for other things. But yeah, probably another
I'll go back to it.
3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, if I have time, I'll go back to it. So here's the style guide. This is the logo that I created. Here's the color scheme. Because this app is geared towards women, I wanted to use some of my favorite colors, but I want to use more, quote unquote, feminine colors. So I use a lot of pastels and things like that with the colors. And then I created the headings, basically same thing. I wanted typography that fit with the theme of it being something geared towards women. So more, not hard edges with the text and things like that. Here are the primary and secondary buttons. And then here are the screens for the high fidelity mockups, and I can quickly blow them up so you can actually see them. So after they sign in, they'll have these options. They can either start their destination, look at safety and travel tips, ask for help via SOS, or have a tutorial walkthrough. They have a settings, and then they also have a menu. And here's what's in the actual menu: their account information, recent trips, saved trips, and view nearby TravelHer users, so they're able to see where if there's other women nearby who are using the app that they could either meet up with or ask for help, and then they can exit the app. Once you start your destination, here's what the page looks like. It shows your saved destinations as well as your most recent ones. And then it also has these little icons here if you want a quick trip to somewhere, which is home, work, gas, food, shopping, and then there's more options for that. And then you could type in your actual destination if you don't want to select any of these defaults. Once you type it in, similar to Google Maps, you would just start your trip or show directions. And then once you start your trip, this prompt will pop up and it'll ask if you want to share your location with emergency contacts or choose from your phone contacts, or you could just skip it and start your destination immediately. If you were to pick to share your location with friends and someone in your emergency contacts, this is where you would select them and then click share. And then you would start your destination and it'll let you know that you're sharing your location with somebody. And if you click on the menu icon here, you'll be presented with a bunch of other menu options, such as you need help. You may let the person know that you're sharing your location with, that you're making a pit stop. You've arrived at the site, but the GPS hasn't identified that, so you can manually click it. You can stop sharing, or you can view the directions again. If you click that you're making a pit stop, this prompt will come up and ask you whether you want to continue in your destination or exit. And then once you've arrived, you see this arrival screen, and you can either click done or SOS for help. And let me see. And then I did usability testing with 3 people. Overall, I got really positive feedback for the app. A lot of people said that they would actually use this. There was a few things that people pointed out, that they'd want to change the text from plan my trip to start navigation, because that made more sense to them. They thought plan my trip was like planning like an actual vacation rather than just going somewhere and navigate to that place. they were confused about, they were confused about how to exit the app. So they thought exit would be like exiting out of the entire thing versus logging out, or it's just logging out of the app. Because one of the questions I asked, how do you leave the app? And they thought log out didn't fit that situation. And then they also said that I wanted to rethink what other options should go inside settings versus my account. And then I made some revisions based on the feedback. I plan my trip to start navigation. I changed log out to exit app. It seemed to make more sense to some of the people I interviewed. And that's it. That's my project.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Morgan. Whenever you're ready, click that green button. That'll screen share it back or off of your screen. Awesome job. And again, huge thank you for being part of Office Hours, sharing this. Carrie, this might look familiar to you. I know you were Morgan's mentor throughout this whole journey, so might be kind of fun to have seen this presentation today for you. And yeah, we'll sort of open up the floor. Greg or Carrie, if you have any thoughts, feedback for Morgan, or questions on her capstone presentation, please feel free to jump in. And for all the students who are here as well, if you have any questions, feedback, thoughts that you'd like to share with Morgan, please feel free to unmute your mics, or also, of course, as always, can type into that chat box and you can see those as well. So instead, I'll open up the floor to at least Greg and Carrie, perhaps to start.
Carrie, do you want to lead off since you've seen this before?
I have seen it before, yeah. But then, I'm trying to think what would be a good question, though. I guess maybe I think, maybe you didn't cover the user stories much. Were those included? I don't know, maybe you could sort of talk about that part a little bit.
They were included. I briefly went over them. Anything specific or?
I guess maybe, because I think sort of how you narrowed in on sort of your MVP or sort of the feature set, because you sort of had a tight-knit application that was a few key features that were relevant to the specific use case you were targeting, rather than anything in the kitchen sink.
Right. I did have a lot of features initially. When I shared my sitemap, a lot of those options were not included. One, because of time frame. I wanted to make sure I got the main focus of what this app was about, so it made sense to exclude anything that wasn't necessary. I removed the about section in the final app because I felt like people really wouldn't care too much unless they just go to the website to find out more information about the app. But yeah, basically I wanted to just narrow it down to features that actually aided with what the actual app was for and what it was about. And I felt like those three features, user account, location sharing, and safety and traveler tips, were the most important to include. And just those features alone would make the app functionable and still get the point across as to the fact that it was a safety app. So pretty much that's how I narrowed down what the MVP and user stories would be.
Great. Looks like we have a question on chat. So it says, great job, Morgan. I might have missed it, but other than the competitive analysis, did you do any secondary research?
Yes, I ended up looking up a few other applications, but it was really hard to find any apps that were pretty similar to my idea that solely focused on safety. A lot of the apps had every little thing included in it. So I did look up other applications, other user interfaces, and how they had these kind of features. I looked at Google Maps and want to incorporate some of the features that they had so that it's familiar with other people. So I didn't want to create this completely different map aspect of it that's different from any other apps that are out there. I researched Waze, the application Waze, and how that workflow is for navigating. But But yeah, I really was disappointed as to finding other applications to include in my competitive analysis. But there really weren't too many safety apps, at least for an adult. I saw a bunch for children, but I didn't really see too many for adults. So a lot of my research was based on user interfaces and what's common that people see, so that my app wouldn't be too different to confuse people as to how to navigate through it.
Yeah, I think at the time, my understanding, like the secondary research, at least part of the curriculum, came in as part of the career track. And I mean, I think it might be there now in the design track since it's been revamped.
Right.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of that in the non-career track.
Right.
One question I had is, I noticed that in a lot of the discussion about the work that you did, it was a little more of just like, I did this, thing. And there was only, I think in the usability study at the end was the only time I really noticed, here's what happened, so I did this because of it. I was curious, was that on purpose, or was it just sort of the format of the portfolio entry?
You mean as far as why I picked certain things based on user feedback versus just what I thought was a better fit? I'm not really sure what the question is.
Sorry. Yeah, the question was, I guess actually let me ask it a different way. Maybe that's a clearer way to ask. One of the things that I've noticed is when we do these and when we make the portfolio entries, a lot of people tend to just do, here's all the work I did, dump. And what tends to be, as we've mentioned on your discussions on here a lot, hiring managers tend to be less interested in just, here's a bunch of examples of flow diagrams, or here's a bunch of examples of, the wireframes that I did, things like that, and more interested in the narrative of, I learned this and therefore I went and did this other thing.
Right.
So, is that something that you've heard from people about your portfolio? Is that something you think you would want to change, or has it actually worked really well the way it is now?
I mean, it depends. Do you see it as more the narrative layout or more the other example you showed? Because I was trying my best to have it in the narrative flow, because I did read that's typically what hiring managers look for. They don't, I think how my portfolio was before, it was more so like, here's my designs, and I didn't really give an explanation as to why I did the things I did. And even where I work now, they said they liked that I did, have explanations as to why I did things. I had a reason for why I did things. It wasn't just because it looked pretty. And I think when it comes to UX, that's very important to be able to explain why you did something based on data, based on research. So I tried my best to make my portfolio reflect that it's basically telling a story and it's descriptive. It gives actual examples. It's people want to see more of a detailed version of my research and things like that. So it's not as image heavy. There are images of what I've done, but I tried to tell it in, more descriptions as to why I did the things I did based on the research. So I do see that that's what hiring managers want with a UX designer, that they want someone who actually explains what they did rather than just show visual representations of everything with no actual explanation.
Nice. That's definitely a mistake I know I've made too. Have some other thoughts, but do any students have any other questions they'd like to ask? Maybe not. Okay. Carrie, anything you want to add? If not, I've got a couple other things I can ask about.
Can I ask a super specific question?
Go for it.
So when you were going through your app, I was thinking, one, this is a super cool idea, but then when you said that you can view where other people who have the app are located, my mind immediately went to, what if a predator or a guy or someone who was trying to have ill whatever
right
got the app, there was no verification, could they just be like, oh, here's where women are all by themselves?
I thought about that too.
That's the
I
thing that
thought
freaks me out.
Right, that anybody could sign up for the app. I don't really know if there's a way to add some type of screening. I mean, the only thing I could think of is that I've seen with dating apps like Tinder, I believe, or I think it's one called Coffee Meets Bagel or something. You have to actually upload a picture of yourself, and a moderator has to approve of the picture that it matches who you say you are on your social media or something like that. And if you don't look like how you are on your other social medias, they'll immediately reject your profile. So I was thinking that there could be some type of security method such as that, where you upload your picture or something like that, or actually talk to, the moderators as to who you are, why you're signing up for the app. Because I did think about that too, that any, predator could find out about the app and sign up for it.
And I know that's a whole nother can of worms, but I just thought it stuck out to me.
No, that's a very good point. Yeah, I would have to find some type of security method.
It looked great, though. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Cool. I don't see any others. Carrie, anything you wanted to dive into?
You may have one more.
There's another question from Blake.
Yeah.
That seems similar to what my question was, but maybe as travel safety as a topic, that could be so broad. Just curious what steps you took to decide what specific features you wanted to focus on and avoid scope creep.
Yeah, I think his is a little more specific on the subject of the app, in addition, and aligned with the features. As far as what features I wanted to include based on safety, I felt like the SOS was really important because, if you are in danger, you don't have time to, open the contacts and then, call someone or actually dial in 911 or dial an emergency contact. So I thought of something that's a quick access where either they could just open the app immediately without having to search for a destination, just click SOS and it would contact immediately whoever you have saved. So that was a really important feature, as well as providing safety tips for people as far as when they're going certain places alone, what they should do in these certain situations. You could Google it, but to have an app that's specifically for safety and provide these safety tips, I thought that was important. And also too, even though it could cause potential danger, maybe if someone creates a fake account, but having it where other people who are using the app, because there's so many times where someone's in danger, someone's being, a potential attack or something, and people just stand by and watch and record with their phone. So the idea behind that was that to get more people involved to help each other. If you see someone's in danger nearby, you're going to come and help them. Even if someone signs up for the app, I would hope that would be the goal, to want to help other people. And, if someone's in danger, you actually go and aid them if they say, I need help. So.
All right. That may be the segue to wrap it up. We are at about time. Great questions, Jordan, Blake, and thanks, I think, Jennifer, and also Blake, for just great encouraging words jumping in there. To thank Morgan for coming here to give a great presentation on her capstone. That was awesome. It was great for me, having gotten to know you a bit as you were in the course, to get to see you walk through your capstone. And I think I learned a lot from it, so I think our students did as well. Huge thanks to you, Morgan, for taking all the time out to come back to Springboard and present this. Thanks all for being here, all the students who joined. Greg and Carrie, as always, you're the best. Thank you so much for being here. Next week, we got a special guest mentor coming in. So we'll have a career-oriented office hours. Bring your career-oriented questions. Ask a third mentor. Anything and everything you want that could be career-related. So great opportunity for that. And Morgan, thank you again. Great to see you again. And,
thank you for having me, Dave. It's great to be back.
Awesome. Yeah, we love it. Cool. Thanks, everybody, for being part of Office Hours, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.